deep in an underground bunker during a violent air raid, you can just about make out the silent wailing of a young girl who seems to have lost everything. All her brother Noah can do is helplessly look on and try to help her forget, even if it's only for a few minutes. But somehow he needs to create an escapism for them both. And their shared haven is a place that might be familiar to some of you. Kalamar, or Silence, is home to elegance as much as it is horror, governed by a false queen who has inspired legions of mass seekers to do her bidding. Many years later, Daedalic have brought us back to a world that has similarities and differences to the world we once knew. Either way, the Whispered World remains glorious. Young Renee gets lost in Silence and it's up to her brother Noah to find her. But it's there that Noah stumbles across a rebellion effort attempting to overthrow the false queen who's hidden behind the walls of the throne room. And as I said, she is surrounded by these mass seekers who are terrorizing this beautiful yet broken reality. Why Silence has lost the Whispered World 2 tag is a little unusual and unexplainable, as this game is clearly set in the same universe, but there are some marked differences which we should point out. Like, for instance, the Whispered World before it, Silence is a point-and-click adventure, but it's one that's been modernised to suit all platforms. In fact, you're almost better served playing the game with a controller than a mouse. When is the last time you were able to say that about an adventure game? You can alternate between several different characters across the game's range of chapters by moving around with the left stick, then interacting with various points of interest with the tap of a button. In some cases, you also need to hold the button, then move the stick at the same time, whether it's to push some rocks out of your way or climb up some treacherous vines. You'll even need to play several mini balance games in time-sensitive situations. Silence is reminiscent of the Sierra adventures of old, where you can walk the wrong way or not react fast enough and be cornered by a seeker. This creates a sense of danger at every turn, making you question every action and decision. And it's particularly highlighted with Renee, who tends to do hazardous, potentially harmful things that elicit both humorous and nervy reactions. Throughout the game, you'll play as both Noah and Renee, but you'll also be reintroduced to fan favourite Spot. Now, while you have base interactions with the two children, each having very individual personalities that drive the narrative forward, the Caterpillar offers some fascinating gameplay additions that change the way you approach the puzzles. The cute green bundle of love can both bloat himself up to the size of a balloon or turn flat as a pancake, which enables him to creep through small spaces and float through the air. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's also worth noting that Silence doesn't have a set inventory system. Rather, you collect items and then use them on the relative interactive spot to solve puzzles and further progress the story. Daedalic have crafted a humorous, hearty adventure that includes several nods and winks to the original, as well as classic 80s fantasy like Labyrinth, Neverending Story, even Willow. It really spoke to my childhood in a way that Stranger Things did earlier this year due to a sense of authenticity for the times. And although the game does have a somewhat concerning obsession with putting its cast into drug-induced comas by having them lick mushrooms and inhale aromatic fumes, this is done in charming, mostly whimsical ways. And there are more than a few passing references scattered in the game which made me quirk an eyebrow or two. Distinct charm is also brought out further by the game's beautiful roving 3D scenery and elegant visual style. It's a major contrast to the Whispered World's cartoony, hand-drawn aesthetic, but it shows a whole other dimension to this magical world and breathes new life into a familiar cast. There are some drawbacks though. For starters, there were absolutely no subtitles in my review build. Daedalic are actually working on this at the moment and they have presented some workarounds which we posted in our review, but it is an issue that has carried across from the demo. And this proved to be increasingly frustrating as sometimes the audio and effects drowned out the vocals when the actors tended to mutter. You may be better served playing this one with headphones in as voices do come through much clearer, though I did still manage to miss some lines of dialogue. And as has been the case with previous Daedalic games, the voice acting does fall flat at times. The delivery of certain lines seems to lack a desired tension and occasionally detracts in the emotion resonating through the scene. Silence deals with some challenging themes, and sadly the impact is occasionally lost when actors stonewall lines. And unfortunately this isn't helped by some of the bad translation either. However, this is one of the best examples of a modern adventure game that bottles and corks hallmarks of LucasArts, Revolution and Sierra in their heyday. It has an enriching fantasy world, there is an eclectic cast of characters, the narrative moves at a steady pace, puzzles generally work really well, and there is a control scheme here which opens the experience up to everyone. Silence may just be Daedalic's finest hour, and minor gripes aside, is the modernisation of adventure games we've all been waiting for. So on the pro side, just to sum up, one of the most enriching fantasy game modes we've seen. There's a great control scheme accessible to all. It is filled with charm and brought to life with a beautiful visual style. On the con side, there is some poor English translation, which means the lines do fall flat at times. Actors offer some half-hearted delivery and voiceovers as well, and there were absolutely no subtitles in this build, although as I did highlight earlier, this is being worked on by Daedalic and there is a workaround for this. But all in all, Silence is a fantastic game and we thoroughly recommend you check it out. For now, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let us know if you've been playing Silence or if you've played any other Daedalic games, if you like adventure games in general, if you like to see this resurgence of the genre. We'll see you next time.